In a statement, the IOC said it was in the interest and well-being of the athletes from Belarus who were still in Tokyo that it decided to remove the two coaches. Timonovskaya's case caught global attention after she refused her team's order to return home. She's now taking refuge in Poland, where she's been granted a humanitarian visa.
Repression, despair, violence. This is what you just saw. In Belarus, a country often described as the last dictatorship in Europe, pro-democracy demonstrations are being repressed. In 2020, Western media believed in a definitive breakthrough given the intensity of the protest following elections stolen for the sixth time by a single man, Alexander Lukashenko, who had led the country for over 30 years. But it was not enough to overthrow him. In 2006, a strange, aborted revolution arose, the Denim Revolution, echoing the growing consumerism that coincided with the end of the Cold War. In 2010, after another presidential election, the same story, the same repression. In the end, the fact that the 2020 protests were stifled might not even be a surprise, despite the scale of the movement. So, people are leaving. Opposition members particularly, as they see their lives being threatened and their perspectives of evolution being lessened, they have to go elsewhere. Poland is maybe the main destination these people turn to. The country shares parts of its history with Belarus, and even managed to impose its language on the local elite, at a time when borders were more porous. For political opponents and alternative people, Warsaw turns out to be a new home. The Belarusian community is large there, whether that is political or not. What is certain is that you will meet artists there, people with strong experiences who have things to say. Having settled in this fascinating city, I've met a few of them. And as my life here progressed, I wanted to get to know them, to talk to them, to experience their spaces, and let them share their experiences, which are often missing in our Western world. Gleb is one of these people. I met him in a bar frequented mainly by refugees and migrants, in an intimate setting, under the skeleton of a bridge. The Karma Bar. You can hear a lot of things at Karma, between the stickers, the graffitis, and the hum of the structure. Gleb approached me in French, and we chatted. Filming a political refugee who is only ever on the other side of the border of the country that is looking for him is no small affair. But Gleb had agreed to share something he had clearly already thought about a lot.
My name is Gleb Kovalov, and I'm from Belarus. I'm 33 years old now, and I'm living in Poland for more than 3 years since the war in Ukraine started. So basically I was born in Gomel. This is the second big city in Belarus, and this is also the part of the Chernobyl zone, which affected my life also, giving me a lot of possibilities to travel when I was a kid. So yeah, I've been in many countries in Europe before my 18, Germany, France, Switzerland. And when I turned 21, I quitted my university. I was studying French and German languages, and I decided to become a bartender. So when I was 26, with my friends and some people that, we can call them investors, they were also like our friends at the beginning. We opened our first bar, the Karma Crew bar, that we are nearby right now, but it's the 4th edition here. So basically I was working as a bartender for many years, and now I can say that I am more like the art director of the bar. I'm making events, parties, making some activism, and of course I'm selling beer and drinking sometimes. Yeah. So basically we opened our bar in 2017 in Minsk, and we just wanted to make something like really alternative, and basically it started as an easy bar, as we call it. Cheap beer, gin and tonics, more parties around like tattoos, art, and so on. So basically we were there till I was there, and the bar was there till my bar till 2020, when I left after the elections in Belarus of 2020. We used to say it was our last elections, but now we had another elections in 25. Nothing to say about it.
The hand of Lukashenko, the dictator president, is firm. Everything is under control. And like many of the leaders, he presents himself as a strong person who loves power well, a figure of Slavic masculinity playing on his image, sports, and alcohol, and not hesitating to use violence against his population who peacefully protest against the manipulation of information and votes. So what is left to manipulate when the opposition is muzzled?
Приказывают провести нам новые выборы, если только мы пойдем на поводу.
So basically, after being a co-owner of the bar for 3 years, I left and I migrated to Poland, to Wrocław, where I stayed for 5 months. It was COVID time that never, the COVID never existed in Belarus.
Yeah.
Like
talking about having vodka too.
Yeah. Like no, you if you don't see something that doesn't exist, like nuclear radiation, COVID, or democracy, I guess. I became really politically involved, so it made a lot of problems in communication with my old friends.
Okay.
That didn't want to be so much political, and also those people who migrated the same time I did, they were really in their pain. They were really suffering that they had to leave their country, that they had to immigrate, their loss, their surrounding, and for me that was the biggest inspiration of my life. So we became we started to live different worlds,
Okay.
So once I woke up and I realized that everything is fucked up, I have no money, I'm almost out of friends there.
Yeah, okay.
So I bought my ticket to Kyiv and I went there. There were a guy who were ready to open a bar with me. And after I promised to my surrounding to not talk that much about politics, I easily found lots of people who would like to invest some money to the future Karma bar in Kyiv, and we opened the bar.
Okay.
So the guy who supported me first was a good friend of mine. Well, he still is. You might know him as a bass player of the very famous Belarusian band Molchat Dama.
No, you're joking.
No. So he's the co-owner of the Karma Kyiv and Karma Warsaw. Yeah, a good friend of mine. I know him for 11 years now.
There's a good chance that you know the band Gleb is talking about, even if you grew up in Western Europe. They are a Belarusian post-punk band, influenced by Cold Wave, which gained enormous popularity, especially through social medias, with songs like this one. Today, like Gleb, the band has left Belarus and is based abroad, this time in the United States. In a way, they are a bit like a symbol for the country and the culture, even if they only sing in Russian.
Cool, but in the same time I realized that the wave of migration from Belarus will be huge, even bigger than it was, and it won't stop. Basically, after they landed a Ryanair.
Yeah, with the political activism.
Yeah. So it was actual piracy.
Such a crazy story.
Yes. So when they landed that flight from I don't remember Cyprus or Greece to Vilnius, and they took Roman Protasevich, Belarusian opposition activist, out of there. The huge wave of migration.
Okay, you saw actually a change at that time of.
Yes, that was a big thing.
What Gleb is talking about is the hijacking of Ryanair Flight 4978 from Athens to Vilnius on May 23, 2021. Citing a bomb threat, Belarusian authorities diverted and forced the plane to land on the territory. On board were Belarusian journalist Roman Protasevich and his partner Sofia Sapega, a Russian national studying in Lithuania. Roman had gone into exile in Lithuania after being labeled as a terrorist for his role in the democratic opposition. As a journalist, he was editor-in-chief of the Telegram channel Nexta, a leading source of free information, which had nearly 1 million followers. And this is a significant number, particularly impressive for a country of over 9 million inhabitants. Following the 2020 protests, the news channel was banned. Raman and Sofia were immediately arrested and brought to trial, Sofia also being accused of involvement in Belarusian democratic activities. They were sentenced to several years in prison. Pardoned in 2023, they now live in Belarus, apparently under close surveillance.
Мне не стыдно. Я прошу все страны Европейского Союза. Я прошу Америку. Я прошу все мировое сообщество оказать нам помощь. Оказать нам помощь в освобождении Романа, в освобождении Софии и всех политзаключенных.
Мы мирные, мы свободные, мы хотим жить в мирной, свободной стране. Говорить то, что мы можем говорить, то, что мы хотим сказать. А у нас за репост или репортаж сажают на 12-18 лет тюрьмы. Это страшно. Но я чувствую, я уверен, мы уверены, что в скором времени мы изменим ситуацию к лучшему.
At that time, we had 3 main destinations, okay, where to immigrate. So one was, of course, Ukraine. It was an easy one because you didn't have the language barrier, okay, and it was the cheapest way probably to immigrate also. Yeah. Then the second one was Poland, of course, because there were no problems to get a visa. The border was open, and you know, we were one country once, so it's just was evident. Oh, okay. And the third one was Georgia, because there you also like, of course, the young Georgians, they don't speak like Russian or they don't understand Belarusian, but it's, you know, it's the country that was very open. You have a visa run. Yeah, I started to go to Poland again, back, but Warsaw, not Wrocław this time. Yeah, okay. And I started to gather my new team, started to find some investments and stuff. And at the same time, I met my future wife in Kyiv, and our business was going like kind of okay. So I was already almost got my like project prepared in Warsaw, and then we realized that the war will start like very soon. So I stayed in Ukraine until its very beginning, and you know, like 2 weeks before the war started, I came to this friend of mine, Pasha from Molchat Dama. He was in Kyiv that time. He had the car, and we decided that when the war starts, he has like 4 additional places in his car. So me and my bar manager at that time and our wives, we took, you know, all the places. We booked them, basically. And when it started, finally, together, we went here to Warsaw. Yeah, so we were like kind of, you know, watching the news and being really sad for maybe 2 weeks. And then we started to open our bar again.
Мы с Андреем едем по Киеву. Время... Который сейчас час? Без 10:10. Выезжаем в центр из Виты почтовой. Вот. Видим, что очень большое количество машин направляется в сторону Одесской трассы на выезд. В сторону центра количество машин, как видите, небольшое. Вот. В целом ситуация достаточно спокойная, если это можно назвать спокойной, но какой-то такой сверхъестественной паники не
Our bar in Kiev
все разобрать.
became a anarchistic base, and we started to fundraise money for the volunteer army. So basically a lot of help went from St. Pauli, and for the first 3 months of the war, our secret speakeasy bar became the base for 3 groups of Ukrainian anarchists that united to be one solidarity collective and to fight against, Russian army. And when the front line finally moved out of Kiev, the Ukrainian team went back to the bar, and it became bar again.
Okay.
And it is opened until now.
Okay.
So it's very hard, but we're still doing this. After Lukashenko started the migrant crisis at the border with Poland, and just to give it a bit of context, they started to invite people for money, of course, from like Syria, Iran, I don't know, like some regions of Lebanon, and all these kind of like countries also affected by the war, promising them the safe passage to European Union. Not even Poland, Poland, like especially Germany, when they had their friends or like families. So then they found out, these people, that Poland will push them back because they have no visas, and they were promised the safe passage. And then the Belarusian border guards will do the same when they got there, so they will push them back too. So they started to live in the forest, dying trying to cross the border. And like the Belarusian regime is using this situation to just, have their propaganda, the possibility to show how rotten is Europe, how they don't respect basic human rights, and all this kind of crazy stuff they don't do themselves.
Since the summer of 2021, Belarusian authorities have been bringing nationals from unstable countries to the border with Poland, promising them access to European territory. Poland, which sees this as an attempt of political destabilization, prevents any entry. The Belarusian and Polish authorities are then playing a macabre game of ping-pong in which human lives are sent back and forth. Humanitarian aid and journalists have been blocked, and international law violated. It's a deeply political issue in Poland. Reports from NGOs such as Human Rights Watch and Grupa Granica are damning. Artists like Agnieszka Holland are shedding light on the situation, not without being dragged through the mud by the political establishment. 6,000 people, according to Polish authorities, were reportedly turned back from July 2023 to January 2024, while 2,000 border crossings were recorded from January to September 2024. In early March, the Polish president, with the agreement of the parliament, passed a law that allows the government to suspend the right to apply for asylum if it sees a possibility of instrumentalizing immigration, even though it is guaranteed by the 1951 United Nations Convention.
The Polish Defense Ministry sharing this video on Twitter today, showing it says the Belarusian side firing a warning shot.
What better way to embody a people than its artifacts and symbols? Art and folklore is what brings a culture to life. The social group, the whole world. Bringing art to life means bringing an idea and giving continuity to a shared history. This cultural meaning of art is deeply political. It is the whole point of reappropriating folklore, popular knowledge and art, in the truest sense of the term. Reclaiming a personal practice, reclaiming an art that is often threatened, whether by an imperial order or by time. My Belarusian and Ukrainian friends with me in Warsaw are thinking and talking about this a lot. Preserving folklore is doubly symbolic for them, contributing to the preservation of a culture that has been under foreign control for too long, and reconnecting with the people from whom one has been torn.
This one was found in a book that was just photographed and uploaded in Telegram, because it's very hard to find those books with ancient ornaments. So this specific one comes from not far from Svetlahorsk. It's nearby Gomel, my home city. So the only one that I found in this book being not far from the place where I was born. So it doesn't have any like specific meaning. It's just the traditional one that we could find. And I also have to say that I consider myself as a leftist, of course, just not so radical. I've been like 7, 8, 10 years ago.
Okay.
But like on my face, you see more like nationalistic symbolics, just because the national idea, not only of Belarus, but just of the world, affected my life a lot for the last year.
Wearing folk symbols and rediscovering a culture and a sense of identity that has been denied to them. It is a sense of belonging to a community, which is so much of an important feeling for your diaspora. This is what Gleb's tattoos are to be understood as through my Western eyes. He brings to life a culture, his own, and an oppressed people to whom he can no longer return.
And they, also to remind me of how strong can national idea be, the things that I saw in Ukraine, to remind me how pride can become a good thing if you're, not only proud of kicking out migrants from your country.
Therefore, one of his tattoos caught my eye. The embroidered patterns of traditional Eastern Slavic clothing. They're called vyshivanka, a word that directly refers to the act of embroidering itself. The term encompasses all these traditional works, which vary from culture to region. This motif, this idea of an act that can be shared, personalized, and reclaimed, did something in me. I then decided to do some research on the topic, and I came across this website, vyshivanka.com. The artist behind this project, Rufina Bazlova, denounced the repression of demonstration in Belarus. She writes, historically, Belarusian women could neither read nor write, and embroidery and weaving were almost the only way to depict the surrounding life. This is how special geometric patterns arose, that conceal many meanings and symbolism. For example, red symbolizes blood, or life, and white, freedom and purity. We can say that Belarusian ornaments are kind of a code of our national history, written by women, and which can be read as a text or a message. The political events around the elections in Belarus are part of our great history, which needed to be written down with the code of folk embroidery. Therefore, on the basis of this technique, the series, The History of the Belarusian Vyzhyvanka, was created. The title of the series is based on a linguistic pun. Vyzhyvat means to embroider in Belarusian, while Vyzhyvat means to survive. Because of the condition created by the regime, Belarusian people are just forced to survive. All images in the series are original documents and are based on real events or illustrate specific Belarusians. Folk embroidery was used as a talisman against evil spirits. I want to believe that it has not lost its power in our days. In the end, the deeper you dig, the more you can find these artistic and political projects which seek to rediscover folklore and local identity. And this is true even outside the circles of artists who make a living from it. I could also tell you about a friend of mine, Ula Karotki, who explores his great-grandmother's traditional medicinal knowledge in a self-published book.
So basically my grandmother was healing people with a special spells called szepty, and this tradition was practiced for years in my family, maybe centuries, and died in the 60s or 70s when my relative decided not to continue this tradition because they were afraid, and the only person that wrote them down was my aunt that then moved to Moscow. And for me, the act of tradition that was practiced, that was used for centuries, and stopped with a written form and moved to Metropolis, to Moscow, was very symbolic and very powerful. So what I decided to do is take this tradition back, take those texts back, and decided to practice it again. Not in the form of a solo artist, but in a group of poets where we together decided to read them over and over again. We had the sessions within an hour when we revised them, queered them, make them something that worries us today and can help to heal our souls nowadays in the actual reality around.
And while these political and artistic efforts are primarily embodied by the diaspora, we must not overlook the people existing and fighting in Belarus, who are less visible and increasingly oppressed, often to the point of premature death. In 2023, Belarus and the world lost the sensibility of Ales Pushkin, known for his protesting performances and paintings. He was mistreated from prison to trials and ultimately died, killed by the state and its regime.
Александр Николаевич, 1900 1965 года народження, 6 жнивня. Народився в містечку Бобов, Руського району Мінської області. Національність Білорусь.
It is through these practices, these works, these places, and these testimonies that the Belarusian diaspora lives. Reconstructing these experiences and making these trajectories visible is a gateway to better understand what they are going through and their claims. It is important to put faces in stories on the numbers we hear when we get informed, and not to forget that behind these numbers are people with ambitions, with love, and with their own story. Making these marginalized paths visible means repoliticizing trajectories that are structurally designed to be dismissed, yet so rich in lessons. No matter if it is Belarus, Ukraine, Kashmir, or Palestine. Today's free Belarus is oppressed. The democratic transition has not taken place, and every individual who decides to step outside the norm imposed by the state exposes themselves to risks that could materially threaten their existence. Free Belarus is made visible by artists and, above all, individuals who revisit folklore and take their culture further. We must reach out, appreciate these arts. We must not forget the people who disappeared and listen to the experiences of those who found themselves exiled or standing up against oppression. And so lives Belarus.